Hi, my name's Rob Scott from CX Today, bringing you the latest news and conversation from the customer experience technology space. So today I'm joined by Neil Titcomb, who's the Managing Director at Odigo, and we're going to be discussing the benefits of agent augmentation for personalized customer experience. Welcome, Neil.
Thanks, Rob. Great to be here.
Thanks, Neil. And before we get started, how about we just do a quick intro? Tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do at Odigo.
Absolutely fine. My name's Neil Titcomb. I'm the Managing Director of Odigo UK. I'm responsible for the UK business, been in the business now for 18 months and in contact center technology for 23 years for my sins. Odigo focuses on providing software-based as a service solutions for the European enterprise contact center marketplace. We work with some of the largest brands and users of such technology across public sector, utility, telco, financial services, amongst others, providing personalized, intuitive, open platforms to really provide employee and customer experience wherever we can.
Super, thanks, and a warm welcome. So, augmented agents, it's a hot topic right now. So just to kick things off, Neil, how about we just kind of firstly define what agent augmentation is and how does it work and kind of why is it so popular right now?
Yeah, sure. Well, it certainly is very popular. We're getting more and more client interest on this subject, and that's been steadily rising actually even through COVID. And I think the first challenge we often have is really unraveling what it really means and what is the definition of it. I think it means many things to many different users, both in the business world and in the man and woman on the street. So, our definition is around agent assistance and leveraging this wonderful concept of artificial intelligence to the best effect it can have on both the customer experience and, of course, the employee engagement experience. And it really is around assisting the customer journey to provide more meaningful and real-time insights at the point that they're most relevant. So there's a number of examples, and I think the one that people often think is the best example is often the worst, which is the chatbot, where arguably AI was first born, and we were all very nervous about job protection and would this automatic process replace our staff, and obviously we've seen that's not the case. And whilst there is a place for a chatbot to provide some self-service in certain instances, we aren't talking about that, to be quite clear. So for Odigo, what we're talking about is how we can leverage data primarily, of which there is so much now available to the business, and make the most of that at the point it's most relevant to me and you as a consumer when we're trying to interact with a brand. So examples might be applying the appropriate part of the customer product information or customer journey information at the point it's most relevant to the agent pertinent to that particular inquiry, before you've had to then have the agent ask for that information. So make assumptions on previous customer journeys. So if it's the fifth time that day or week they've actually phoned in, then let's look at the reasons for the previous calls and make some assumptions as to who they talked to, the priority to which they're answered, and the information then presented to the agent. Don't repeat things unnecessarily is one small example. Others might be using technology around even looking at the voice notes and so on within the conversation, potentially even with in IVR, to determine the mood and using sentiment analysis to pass different information into the systems to make other predictable, personalized interactions for the agent. So there's so many ways that it can be adopted, and I think it is a case of really understanding, where our clients' problems lie. But most of the time, it is trying to do more with less. But fundamentally, it's providing a better customer experience, which I think augmenting the agent process can play a major part in.
Yeah, that's interesting, because I was going to ask you about kind of what typically triggers a call into Odigo for this kind of solution. We say, is it so it's a customer experience kind of matter, or is it productivity, or is it a cry for help? Which would you say?
I mean, there's all those things. I mean, our clients come to us primarily with an issue, which is they know they need to provide a better service. So COVID has shone a light on so many frailties within the contact center arena. People are having to do more with less, cope with higher demand with less colleagues in situ. And frankly, as consumers, we're expecting even more high quality service now. I think the period has passed where was an acceptance that through COVID there was going to be some exaggerated customer service processes. People are now back in the point to which they expect a lot more than they're getting. So our clients are first and foremost saying, well, how can I play to my consumers' desires, which is to contact me on any channel of any choice at any time, receive consistent experience, self-service when they want to, but have assisted service when they need to. And I'd be lying if I said there wasn't an undertone of we need to save money as well, and look at cost out programs to be more efficient and do some of the things I said earlier to leverage greater first call resolution and make sure that a certain demographic, for example, of consumer is treated in a certain way which might be different to another. So there's easy examples there. My son's first preference to contact his mobile phone service provider will be quite different to my mother's, but all too often we're all treated the same way. And that, again, allies a lot to our clients saying to me, well, how can I get smarter at that without putting a separate route into our business for different customer segments, because they can't afford to do that, and it's often too difficult to do that.
That's really interesting. And to kind of move this on a little bit then towards that kind of, getting started with this type of technology, because AI is, in there, it sounds quite complex, lots of data sources, I imagine, involved in this as well. How or what's the best way for organizations to kind of look at this kind of technology? And does there need to be a kind of willingness to experiment a little? What do you think?
Yeah, no, there is. One of my favorite phrases is boiling the ocean, and you shouldn't try to do that with AI. I think there are some quick wins available to many. Lots of technology around this arena, we've seen it through the last 10 years particularly, needs to be carefully reviewed, and you need your customers' buy-in. And if you try to do too much too soon, be bold and be brave and potentially be a little bit too presumptuous, then you risk alienate your customer, and they will retreat and then automatically assume it's actually not something they see value in and won't use again, even if it actually that's not the case and there is value for them. So being very mindful of your audience, looking at the problem you want to solve, publicizing it correctly to both the consumer and your staff, because you need buy-in on both sides, is key. So our attitude is one of, I wouldn't say, trialing, but there's some small pieces of change that you can implement quite relatively easy, and probably easier than most people think, to start to build a platform of putting some augmentation into certain customer journeys and certain scenarios, which can have small gain, which you can then build upon over time. And what Odigo will do is review your entire customer journey. We have got a great team of consultants that are very experienced in doing that, and work out exactly where those quick wins are. And they might not incur a huge amount of time or cost, actually. It's often a lot of this is process re-engineering and data access than actual new technology in many cases, and then build a platform for changes, as I say, over time, which won't culminate in replacing your staff or augmenting every process. Quite the opposite. It needs to be a collaboration between assisted and augmented customer contact. And I think examples of where it's gone wrong in the past, if I come back to chatbot, would be where you've gone online, some assistance has popped up, you've accepted that voluntarily, great, okay, let's see if you can help me. The bot runs out of answers, which they often do quite quickly, and then fails to give a nice seamless segue through to a live agent. And even if it does, it then doesn't carry through the information of the questions and answers that it's proceeded with. So guess what? You start again, and you have to say the same conversation to the agent. That alienates me as a consumer because I've already done some of this. So consumers accept that robots, if you want to call them that, can do a certain amount, and they will use them up to that point. But they want equally to know when a human agent comes online and have that handover as smooth as possible. And that's often where things go wrong.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And it's small steps with AI, I think.
Yeah.
And in terms of solution, how do you package this up at Odigo? Is it baked into the kind of core platform? Could you maybe just explain how how you offer it?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to put this into a box and put it into a very specific product that you can just purchase based on you need 100 of them and turn it on Monday. This is highly configurable technology. Obviously has some core fundamental components in it. We work with the world's leading AI providers like IBM Watson and Google, amongst others. It is a case, to my earlier point, of really carefully defining what's required. So there's an element of service time indeed to obviously develop these kind of solutions, and some software. It's true. Our approach, as is with all our solutions, is to provide a service-based model. All our solutions are fully hosted, obviously, so you can actually consume these services based on an interaction or even a user fee, whichever works for you, which again differs for certain clients depending on their requirements and scale. But again, it does mean, unlike in the old days, as it were, that there isn't often a huge capital upfront investment, which can block this sort of interest and innovation. And it can be very much aligned to a business case where the operating costs can be aligned to the return on investment over a relatively short period of time. So keeping it linked to volume, keeping it linked to value, keeping it linked to the number of transactions and staff you use is all part of what we aim to do.
That's fantastic. And just in terms of the implementations you've done so far, what's the customer feedback been like? And in terms of return on investment, did they see that straight away? Did it take a bit of time to come through?
It varies, but like I say, I mean, everyone claims to say it, but we do stand by that, particularly in the current times. Then return on investment obviously is important, and people expect to see one. Now, every Odigo client doesn't engage with Odigo to always look for an immediate return on investment. Lots of the motives, as I mentioned, are about customer service improvement, and that's something we're very focused upon. But everything ultimately does cost money, and we want to show a return wherever possible, both in CX improvement, NPS, and also obviously the return on the investment made. So our client feedback, I'm very proud to say, is excellent. We have a very strong NPS score, which we manage very carefully across our customer base. We meticulous in terms of how we review that on a regular basis. Not everything works as expected straight away in this area, because there is so much we can collect, and then lots of things need to be tested and trialed and adjusted. As I said before, it's not a product that fits in a box. It needs to be adjusted and tuned and reassessed. And again, part of Odigo's major go-to-market and I think differentiation is that we will continue to work not just at a support level post-deployment, but as a consultative, provocative, investigative way to ensure that the solutions are continually stress tested and reviewed and adjusted to make sure, based on customer feedback, employee feedback, and the business feedback, that they're working optimally, which for me is where AI has failed in the past, where people have tried to maybe implement it, like social media phenomenon that was with us 5 years ago, and where chat started maybe 15 years ago, where they were implemented as point solutions to fix a specific problem, which often certainly didn't materialize in deflecting customer engagement and reducing cost. So they were turned off, but nobody really understood or wanted to assess why. And I'm personally very keen to ensure that AI, because it has so much potential when implemented the right way, doesn't follow the same outcome. And as I say, for some people, unfortunately, consumer expectation around poor chatbot deployment, I'm not going to name any, but there are several which do what I explained, where they provide arguably dead ends of information. People have been turned off. And then they're labelled as effectively a tool to stop me talking to the agent, which is what every consumer wants to not believe, right? We should all be able to talk to somebody when we need to about whatever we want. And it's our clients' challenge to manage that problem, because for some brands, they have millions of customers with high expectations. So it's finding that balance.
Absolutely. And as you say, there's loads and loads of potential here as well. Neil, what's the best way to find out more?
Well, obviously, our website is a great place to start. Lots of great collateral on Odigo.com. We've got a white paper on this very topic that we actually conducted some research last year to opinion poll the business community as to where they saw the value and where investments might lie in which different sectors for different use cases and so on. And we'll continue to commission research on these topics and others. So always look to our website for case studies and information. I would certainly encourage that. So absolutely, start there. And if you need more information, don't hesitate to, of course, reach out.
Yeah, it's a great website. It's well worth a visit. So thanks for that, Neil. And it's been super speaking to you today. Thanks so much for joining me.
You're very welcome. Really enjoyed it. Have a wonderful day, Rob.
And that's it from us. If you've enjoyed today's session, please subscribe to CX Today News and give this video a quick share on social. It's always appreciated. And if you're a CX fan and want to be part of the conversation, you can join us using the CX News hashtag on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook. Our social links are in the description. I'm Rob Scott from CX Today. Thanks for watching.